Garage.
I think that's
one.
a great idea.
Yeah, they call them rap snacks, cuz.
Rap snacks.
Different flavors, you feel me?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, we'll start.
Yeah, we already did, baby. All right, Adam. All right, let's see if we can get the intro right.
All right, perfect.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Or if this is your first time, welcome to the Reps That Count podcast. We are your host. I am Valentz. And
I'm Adam.
All right, Adam. You go ahead and give the people the description of this awesome podcast.
So the reps that count are the moments in life that you should be paying attention to that maybe you're not paying attention to. And the moments that count. Just like the gym, where you can go to Planet Fitness and do a couple bicep curls and it not really do anything for you. We kind of do that in life sometimes, right? and we just coast through life and we think we're making an impact, but we're not really focusing on the things that count. I read something the other day that 80% of meaningful work is done in the 20% of time. Well, I said that wrong. So there's 20% of work that you do that creates 80% of the impact.
Ah, okay.
And those are the reps that count, right? But that's the hardest stuff to focus on and do.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, but if we attack that stuff, like we're going to talk about mental health, we're going to talk about wellness and a lot of other topics that are the reps that count.
All right. And this is an interesting episode.
Yes.
Because this is episode 1, but also episode 5.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. The lost episode.
Yeah. Just like I love to be transparent just because like I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to be perfect. So when I mess up, I'm like, hey, here's what happened. So we recorded our very first episode and the audio is just not good. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we can't put out this product. So we're re-recording episode 1 and we will release it as episode 1. But But this is like our 5th recording of the podcast.
We've gotten better.
Yes. All right. So before we get into the topic of this episode, I have a question. Not just for you, but for our listeners also, right? 'Cause I want them to, like, if you're listening to this or if you are watching this on YouTube, like if you're listening, just kind of answer this question for yourself. If you're watching on YouTube and you feel like, if you feel comfortable, you could drop your answer in the comment section.
I like it.
So the question of the day for you, Adam, is what is something that you did this week or the past week? It's Thursday, but since last Thursday, that you are proud of.
I gave things the attention that they deserve this week. Starting off this weekend, it was my wife's birthday and we went out and we spoke like we've never, like not that we haven't spoken in a long time because, life is busy and it was all about her. Then in the gym, when I was meeting with people, I was able to give them the attention that they deserve. With my son, I was able to turn off the rest of the world and really focus on him and enjoy him. So being present, and that took saying no to a lot of other things that could have been distracting and I could have gotten lost in. So I only focus on a few key moments this week that had the greatest impact or were the reps that count.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think I did that better than I did in previous weeks.
Oh, good, man. Good. That's great. That's great stuff right there. As far as like for me, I started to work on some personal development stuff in the sense of like I started taking a typing course.
Nice.
Right. So like I wanted to like improve my typing skills. Like I do a lot of typing for work and just in general. Like I'm always on the computer, but like I've never developed that skill. So I'm working on that, and I also started taking like some courses to get some technical certifications.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, to improve my my value in the marketplace. So
dude, that's big.
Yeah,
that's
man.
big, and that requires a lot of effort, man. Like, because you still work, you know, so you got a lot of stuff going on. You have a kid, so to take that it's not finding extra time, it's creating
Oh
time.
yeah, 100%.
And to be able to do that, I think that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Oh, speaking of creating time,
Mhm.
today my official day 1 of 75 Hard.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
dude. That's why I have this big jug of water right here.
Are you ready for that?
I'm not like that's not something you're ever ready for. You just kind of just like the first time I did it, I just decided, all right, let me go and figure this out. I think the hardest part is just the nutrition.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing it. Well, I'm doing it.
You gotta give me a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm gonna jump on.
Hey man, you do.
I'm
Hey,
gonna jump
listen,
on.
I'm putting me out there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right. So, can you go ahead and introduce our topic?
Yes. So the topic for today is environment. Single word, because this is going to go in many different directions. So it is the environment we came from and the environment that we are trying to grow into and our current environment. And those 3 phases and how you can't let your environment define you. And if you are looking to grow, you kind of have to seek that new environment and create that new environment.
Yeah.
Do you want to define environment for us?
Yeah. I mean, so when we say environment, I feel like the first thing that most people might think of immediately is just like the city that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more than just like where you stay. It's also like the people you hang around, and kind of like the things that you expose yourself to in a way, especially because a lot of people live online now.
Mm-hmm.
So the content you consume is also part of your environment. So that would be the way I want to define it. It's not just like I live in Orlando and that's my environment. Like it goes a little bit deeper than that. So we'll touch on some of that today.
So everything that surrounds you physically, emotionally, mentally is your environment.
Yes, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good definition.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That's our definition right there.
So I'd like to start off with, just because we did this in episode 1, but just a little background about your environment and where you came from. Where were you born? How were you brought up? And we'll just start there.
All right. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Cool. So for me, I was born in Haiti. Right. I came to the US when I was small. Like I was like maybe 6 or 7 years old. Like it's like my past is very blurry. Some of the dots like I still haven't connected, and I just turned 34. So I came here when I was young, and essentially, like I didn't necessarily go through like the right paperwork and like all that stuff. So when I came here, I for a long time I had to kind of assume a different identity. So like I had a different name for a little while. Like I jumped around from.
What was your name?
But the first name was Alex.
Okay.
I don't remember the last name. It was legit. Like I don't remember, but I do remember specifically remembering a script because I didn't speak English, but I had to like read a script in English just in case I got stopped by customs or whatever. Like it was just like I'm this person, I do this. So when I got here, I was that person. Like I'm a great actor. I think I could have been an actor
At 6 years old.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Like I immersed myself in his character, right?
Alex.
Yeah. So yeah, from there, like I'm not 100% sure where my journey was. I feel like I went to Canada for a little bit, and I was in New York. I know I was somewhere up north, and then I ended up in Florida, and I spent the majority of my adolescent years in South Florida until I graduated high school, where I started gradually moving up north from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and now I'm in Sanford. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like the quick little background of my story so far.
That had to be a crazy experience of leaving Haiti at 6. Did you come by yourself?
I did. So I was basically sent to America, right? Like my mom did like all the paperwork, like all the background stuff, while we were down there. Sent me over with, we could call it a chaperone, right? So got on a plane with somebody I don't know if I really knew him. I don't think I did. I can't tell you his name right now. So I don't, yeah. It wasn't like an uncle or anything.
Yeah.
It's just some random person that, chaperone people to the US, I guess. So yeah, I came by myself. And then essentially I was like adopted by this people that I never really knew or never met until I got here. It's kind of a wild story when I like say it back, but there was like this one individual that I met in Haiti, and I would say I probably met him or knew him for like 2 weeks, maybe a month or whatnot. It was just, but when I got to Florida, like as a favor for my mom, he came to pick me up, and that was like after however long I was here, that was the first familiar face that I saw. So, he took me in and started bringing me around like his family and friends or whatnot, and essentially his family raised me up. Yeah, so
That is wild.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it is.
Because you're at that point kind of adopted by a family. You were young enough, from 6 to 18. That's a good amount of time to live with these people.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, and again, I got really lucky because not a lot of people would just take in like an extra mouth to feed, right? Like it's not like my parents were like giving extra money or like I wasn't getting an allowance from anything. It was just like I was just an extra mouth in the house.
Why do you think that is? Like, why would they do that?
I mean, I think it's like some people just have it in them, right? Some people believe in the thought that it takes a village, right? And like these individuals were also immigrants, right, from Haiti. So I and they had kids. So something about that, I feel like they just didn't want to like see me not succeed or whatnot. And I got along well with their kids. Like I'm very low key, right? So I wasn't like a bad kid running around like breaking stuff. I'm like just a fly on the wall for the most part. So I mean, out of the kindness of their heart, right? They didn't owe me anything.
That's so beautiful, dude.
Yeah,
That
right.
is, we didn't even get into that on the first time we shot this.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what good people.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And again, like they always treated me like family. So, if I like at this point, that's my mom and dad and like their kids are brothers and sisters to me now, and you know what I mean? Like that's just what it is, like period.
I think culturally it is a tribe mentality kind of thing, right? Like you're from Haiti, they were from Haiti, they understand the struggle, they understand like how can you not take on this 6-year-old boy that just needs a better life kind of thing. And, but that takes such a special kind of person to be able to do that.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky, and I'm happy and always grateful, and like So I mean, and as far as like environment, obviously I could have used that as an excuse to not be where I am right now.
Yeah.
Right. But before we get into that, I mean, let's hear your background and how like how you ended up where you are.
Yes. So I was born in New York, in uptown New York, in the mid 80s. So during the crack epidemic, and it was pretty bad. My mom decided that it was bad enough that she wanted to move to Florida, and we ended up taking a bus. I still remember that bus ride, and I think I was only like 5 years old, and I only have like 4 or 5 memories from that age, and that was one of them. It was me and my mom on the bus all the way down to Florida. My dad ended up staying in New York a little bit longer. And then we lived with my grandmother in Hialeah for a while. Grew up kind of poor. Like my parents made always minimum wage, and I didn't feel poor at the time because I don't think you kind of notice those things when you're young. If I think my parents did the best that they could, and I was never hungry, which is cool.
That's important, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It wasn't until like middle school when I was like, why are my sneakers fake?
It's always middle, bro. It's always middle school, bro. It's always middle school.
Yeah. But yeah, like my parents worked a lot, and I was I think they're called like key lock kids. You just come home and then you kind of just raise yourself a little bit.
Like don't open the door for anybody.
Yeah, don't open the door for nobody.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I would say I was lucky in a sense that although I grew up poor, my grandparents were like the epitome of just love and acceptance, and they were gravity. So like the family just stuck around my grandparents, and they were just such good people that was kind of like the standard and in the house. And there was like, I swear, like 18 people living in the house.
Hey, that's how it goes sometimes, dude. Like,
but I think about my cousins, and they all grew up with not much, pretty poor, and they all turned out pretty great.
Wow. Okay.
And because they were raised by their parents, but it was also like this umbrella where like there was grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
They're they're the standard.
The foundation was set by grandma and grandpa. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I came from, environment wise. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So I mean, we could say, based on movie standards, that our lifestyle, or like growing up, like we didn't grow up in that that 2-parent, like picket fence, dog, backyard, like you having your own room with the posters on the wall, like that. Like that's not the way we grew up or whatnot.
No. Always in an apartment or in my grandparents' house, or actually my dad got a job as a maintenance man, and one of the perks of the jobs is you get an apartment. So that's when we got our first apartment, kind of thing.
Okay.
Which that was cool. But it's crazy in the sense where I didn't really notice how poor we were. And I was talking to my mom about this like a couple months ago, and she was like, yeah, like sometimes we'd have to like borrow money to get groceries and stuff like that. And you're a kid, so you don't understand that, or you don't see that. But we were poor, dude. We were definitely poor.
Like, do you feel like that as a kid, you just kind of learn to block certain things out?
Yeah.
Like for me, like there were times where like things were bad for me. Like I remember those days. But again, it was like middle school, high school, like those like vivid memories. Like I've been evicted a few times in my lifetime. Like matter of fact, I got evicted the day I got like my prom ticket. Like it was just like that home stretch of high school.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. Like it's like, fuck. Dude. Yeah. Like it sucks. But yeah, do you feel like as like children are just really good at just like blocking out the things that like they don't want to see?
Yes. And I also think that this is a problem with a lot of society is you fall to the problems of your circumstances, right? So we were poor, and problems are the same. If you have money, problems are the same. Like the emotional aspect of all that is the same. So I didn't really feel it at the time, but looking back, like there was definitely, I went to a really bad middle school, which that environment could have sent me in a direction of, being in gangs and getting into fights and doing all that. I got jumped a couple times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like Richmond Heights, you know South Florida, dude. Richmond Heights.
Yeah.
I went to Richmond Heights Middle School, so I got jumped. I got jumped for being a little Spanish kid.
Damn.
Yeah, couple times.
Okay, cool. Well, I think let's take that as an opportunity to pivot into how is it possible to not let like your environment like affect you like to the point where, because again, like, you know, if you're in Richmond Heights and this is what's going on, right? Like, how do you not turn into like one of the individuals in that environment, right? Because if you're getting jumped as a little Spanish kid, it's easy for you to be like, let me go find some other Spanish kids and like retaliate,
Yeah.
right? And then that just kind of turns into just you being part of that environment.
Yeah, I wish I had a better story. Because I started freshman year in high school, and I was still getting jumped. And it was like I was like 2 weeks in, and I'd gotten jumped like twice. And my parents were like, "We have to get him out of this school." It was like Cutler Ridge, so no, Southridge. So they ended up putting another address and then getting me into a different school. And that school was a little bit better, not great, but it was a little bit better. And I was in remedial classes all the way until I got to Sunset, which was the other high school that I went to.
Okay.
I've always had problems like reading and, I have ADHD. So like the school system was pretty much telling me that you're going to go down this path. I remember meeting with the counselor and the counselor being like, "You're never going to college."
Oh, wow.
And this is in middle school. And I'm like 8th grade going to 9th grade.
Okay.
She signed me up for remedial classes. And then it wasn't until a teacher in 9th grade, I started remedial classes. And then she was like, "I think you can like do regular classes," because I excelled like in math. And she's like, "I think you just need to study like this." And she kind of taught me how my brain learns. And then I went from regular classes to honors classes.
Oh.
And then I went from honors classes, I ended up taking a couple AP classes. So I ended up doing pretty well in high school. But if I was stuck in that other environment, like really stuck in that environment, no way out, I don't know if I would have had the same story. It took people that cared, about my well-being I was young. So I needed someone else to help me out at that age.
Wow.
Like my parents pulling me out of that school, a teacher caring enough to teach me to learn it a different way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the story would have turned out the same.
Wow.
So I although we could try to do it ourselves, sometimes it takes that community, it takes that tribe.
Okay, cool. So essentially it's just like, again, having the right people around you, right?
Having the right people.
It's like the environment was not the greatest, but you had just enough, I guess we'll call it light, right? Just like you had enough just people to keep you on track, just to speak with you and be like, "Hey, like we care about you," right?
Yeah.
And that I feel like that may have, made you care about yourself, because like sometimes people could tell you what you need to do, and you're like, "Yeah, I don't want to."
Yeah, I want to play.
Yeah.
Play.
Like those kids are having fun over there, man. Like, wow, that's something right there, bro.
Yeah. I'm grateful for. I've always looked for mentors. Like my dad passed away when I was 18. So there's always been like some sort of older man figure in my life that I've gravitated towards. Some of them being clients, some of them just being bosses and friends. And I think environment also comes from mentorship as well. Having the right people to look up to, and you find these people like, I kind of want to be like that person. Not like them in terms of, like we said, the mask, but being able to wear those hats.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of environment that helped me out a lot. So I think in some of these like, impoverished communities, they don't have a lot of those people to look up to. They have the dope boys to look up to, and all the, so you have to find your first way out of situations like that is finding people that you're like, I kind of want to be like that person. I resonate and connect with that person, and that person is doing really well. And just asking for help.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like you said, like sometimes the only person you see is, the dope boy or, the drug dealer or, or the bad cop sometimes, right? Because like seeing the opposition also has an effect on you,
Absolutely.
right? But like how could you possibly like find someone outside of your environment to inspire you? Like what steps is there any steps like someone could take to find someone outside of that?
With just because where we're at now, I wasn't at there back then, but with technology now, I do think there's amazing books, amazing resources that you can find online. Most people have access to internet at this point. There's support groups, there's Facebook groups. Like I'm a part of several Facebook groups, just for different challenges that I was facing. And like the power of Facebook groups is real, dude. Like it's really supportive communities. Like people, like you have to find the right ones, but people like they'll give you the real information that just they went through what you went through and they just want you to do better. And these are strangers, you know, but there's power in people going through the same struggle, like collective suffering. And I think that's one way of getting out of your situation. 'Cause it might just be like, hey, there's Florida Bright Futures and there's this and there's that. And there are these resources that are free. And you could get out of your situation. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take saying no to a lot of things, but you could absolutely get out of your situation.
I feel like one of the things I want to say, I think the easiest way to get out of it is your mindset, right? Like I think just making the decision to get out of the environment, it should be the first step.
Yeah.
And
awareness.
Yeah. Just being like if you wake up one day, I mean, there's plenty of stories like that, right? Where somebody just wakes up and they're like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to let this consume me, right? Mm-hmm. And I think by taking that first step and changing your mindset and deciding you want to elevate, you want to go somewhere different, even if it seems impossible at the time, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could be in the slums of Miami and decide, you know what, I want to go live in a high rise in New York.
Yeah.
And again, just boom, like it sounds impossible, but what I found through the years of just like growth is that once you make a decision, the universe will guide you.
Absolutely.
It's I know it sounds crazy, right? Because people make fun of manifestation and blah blah blah. Like I promise you, once you make a decision, the world will guide you, and you will have the answers. The only thing is, like, some people don't move on those answers. A lot of people know exactly what you have to do.
I've seen it happen in my life where I'll set a goal and then these steps will start appearing. And I'm like, that's not coincidence. There's no way that's coincidence.
We could talk about this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect example.
Bro.
I bought all this equipment with, I deaded the project. I was like, I didn't dead it, but I was like, not right now. And then you approached me about this podcast, and I was like, I've been waiting for you,
bro. And like, it's weird, right? Because like we both had podcast equipment, right?
Yeah.
Like we both have, and like we're just having a random conversation, not about a podcast. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a couple of days later, I had the thought. I was like, yo, like we converse like well, and I think this could be a part. And I'm like, yo, do you want to do this? And it's like, absolutely. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
We record the first episode. Mm-hmm. Right. And I was like, okay, this was not bad. It wasn't great. We learned from it. And I think after like the second episode, like we had an outside company reach out to us like, yo, we want to record an episode for you. It's like somebody just donated microphones.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
we are accepting donations.
But again, that just goes to show, like, when you make a decision to do something, like, the universe can guide you. So if you're in an environment now, just make that decision.
I think you before saying that, you said something really important, which is action. We didn't just talk about making a podcast with with almost no experience, we made the first episode, and then these steps started to appear. You have to have action. You have to take that first step. The universe isn't going to take you serious unless you're actively moving in the direction that you want to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, a lot of people say knowledge is power. Knowledge is not really power. Like, knowing something, like, it doesn't help you, right? Like, there's a lot of information zombies out there. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term.
I have, and it's a great term.
Yeah, because, like, you could read a whole bunch of books, you could watch a whole bunch of videos, you could take a bunch of classes, but you have to take action. Like, yes. I honestly feel like action is more important than information.
Absolutely.
Because you could learn from messing up.
Yes.
Fuck up at full speed. Like, that's one of our episodes, right? Yeah. But yeah, so mindset, I think, is one of the quickest way to change. Like, make a decision, and you will be guided. And take those steps. Like, it could be, right, if you're a kid listening to this and you're still in high school and you're struggling right now, just decide that you're gonna graduate, right? You could be a senior, and it's like it's too late for you to graduate. And like high school, sometimes they don't hold you. Like, they'll kick you out, but you can still make that decision and go get your GED. GED, yeah, GED. I'm thinking sit-ups, dude. I'm tripping. But yeah, you can still go get your GED, and then that could be the first step.
Yeah, one of the most successful people that I know graduated with his GED. He's a millionaire.
Dude, my boss at work like dropped out of high school.
Yeah,
I don't know if he went and got his GED, but he's obviously like he's successful and like business partners with like some of the biggest people like in the world, some of the richest people. But like take actions. What like where else can we take this?
But just I think we should touch on environment a little more. So now that we're older and we've created our environments, I think structure is really important for us, and controlling our environment is really important. So things that work for me is like having a clean workspace for thinking, or having an environment where you're going to think. Or for a lot of my clients, environment is key for them, like setting up their kitchen for success, or setting up joining a gym that's close to your house because that's a little bit easier and a little less friction, or joining a gym where the mindset of the people are like the mindset that you're looking to adapt. So environment, it's not always about getting out of your environment. It's maintaining a structured and peaceful environment that's progressing in the right direction.
Or you could build an environment within.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of cut your own little corner, right? So like even like if we take the visual of like a room, right? Like if you have like a 3-bedroom house and you have like a messy brother and then a clean brother, like those are two different environments in the same house.
Yeah.
Right. So like in your neighborhood or your community, you could create your own environment. And also you could again, so building your environment and then finding a good environment to get into.
Absolutely. Also, your mind is an environment for your thoughts, right? So creating, like meditating and journaling and reflecting, these are all controlling the environment of your mind, as opposed to there just being chaos in your head. So that's also an important thing to look at. It's not just what's around you, it's also what you're thinking about and what you're consuming as well. Like if we're just consuming trash all the time, we're ruining that environment in our mind. Yeah. So being mindful and being aware of that, and trying to consume things that are beneficial for you, reflecting constantly, and just keeping your mind clean, I think is important.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like on social media. Like the algorithm has a way of feeding you things, right? And like once you consume something, it just gives you more of it. It's just like a barrage of things. So the moment you start like watching, let's say, fight videos, I don't even know if they still have fight videos on Instagram because they don't come up on my timeline. But if you're just like you watch a fight video, it's gonna give you a second one, and like the algorithm trickles things onto your timeline, and once you accept it, it just starts rushing it into you, like onto you. So a thing you could do is start consuming like the content you want, right? Start looking at the life that you want to live, right? Like let's just go wild and say you want to own a Ferrari, right? Like you start consuming content about that car.
Yeah.
And like it's like you're gonna see more of it, then you're gonna start studying the car, and then all of a sudden, like you're gonna start taking steps. Like, you know what, I want to own one of these cars. Like you'll figure out how to get to that point. So I again, like you said, like the stuff you take in, like it like you output what you input. Like, something like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, and I think it's in things like you're doing, like the 75 hard. I'm gonna do it. And I'm not going to do it for fitness. That is the smallest aspect of the 75 hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it because I think absence of consumption is important for growth and just to grow your discipline muscle. Super important, right? So it's not about the 75 hard in terms of a fitness thing. It's about doing this super challenging, inconvenient thing daily because it forces you, it actually by the end of the 75 days, you're okay not consuming all this garbage.
Yeah.
And that's controlling your environment.
100%. I actually was listening to a podcast by, it was the Huberman Lab about building like tenacity.
Yes.
Right? And like it's like the ability to say no also like helps build that muscle in your brain. Like it's a muscle that you could build, and like it's linked to like people with old age. Like if you have the muscle in your brain, like it's a powerful muscle. Like when you get older, like you could be 70 thinking on the like as a 40-year-old. Like your mind don't get old when you're like
exercising. That.
Yeah, like there's studies that proves that. And again, like the ability to do stuff you want to do and not do stuff you don't want to do, like ties into that muscle. It's the same thing.
It's the reason it's the same thing is because if you're saying yes to everything, that doesn't leave room for the things that truly matter. It takes saying no to the things that don't matter and the things that don't progress you, or the things that are not good for you, or just the things that just don't fit right now, to leave room for these super important things. Again, the 80-20, there's only 20% of things that are going to yield 80% of the results or 80% of your happiness.
Yeah.
But if you're focusing on everything and you're just consuming, there's no room for that really important 20%, or it just dilutes your attention for that 20%, that really important stuff.
So I want to go to another thing that's part of your environment, friends.
Yes.
And the people around you.
Yes.
Now, I feel like oftentimes people are scared to move because of their friends, right? So when we first recorded this podcast, you mentioned that you were part of the party scene in Miami.
Yes.
Right? And in order for you to make the changes you need to, you had to pack up and just leave. Right? So like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I used to party for a living, so we would get paid to go out and party. That's it.
Hey, that sounds like the lifestyle.
Man, there was one time we partied for like 60 days straight, every day, every night we were out, or during the day we were at a boat party or this or that, and we just kept partying. Sometimes I would go out Thursday, come home Sunday, kind of deal. It was crazy.
60 days straight is wild. I did like 3 days once.
Yeah, it's stupid, not unhealthy in every manner.
Wow. Okay.
And it was hard for me not to do that because that's what everyone else around me was doing. And talk about environment. Like, although I was in it, I never felt like I was supposed to be there. I felt like this is something that I just fell into. And I was king of like Irish goodbyes. And any of my friends can
Wow.
talk to this, where I would look around, I'd be like, I don't want to be here. And by 12 o'clock, I was gone. And I was home. I'd stop by 7-Eleven on the way. We lived in South Beach. I'd stop by 7-Eleven on the way home and just eat some junk food and then go to bed. But that environment was just toxic in so many ways. A lot of alcohol consumption, drug consumption, just toxic people around you all the time. And it was hard to get out of that. And it actually sent me down a pretty bad path and downward spiral. By the time I left Miami, it's like I just had nothing left emotionally. I feel like everyone was just like emotional vampires, just sucking all of your energy. And there was one night I was at a nightclub and I looked around and I didn't like anyone around me or anything around me. And I just saw the fakeness for what it was. And I went on my phone and I booked a one-way ticket to New York. And I ended up 2 weeks later, I was in New York.
Wow.
And yeah, that was the first time I was out of that environment and I could just kind of recreate myself and just be me and figure out who I am. And that actually took some therapy because I didn't know who I was. And I ended up doing the opposite, which was overworking and being like this dry drunk kind of person, because now if I was so scared of relapsing into this party scene that I did the opposite, which was be super serious and just work as hard as you can, right? Because that was my new drug or my new sense of purpose or self was, I'm just gonna just hold on to this thing, right? Because I was scared of being that person, the party
like
person.
you was kind of running away from your old self in a way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Running away from my old self with no direction.
Yeah.
Then did some therapy, and that helped a lot. That I think it saved my life. Definitely changed my life. And I was able to construct a new environment and be myself for the first time and figure out who that person even is. And that person's constantly growing and evolving and changing, I think, almost daily.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But that was the first step, was getting out of that environment.
Yeah. So obviously, like, you had to leave a lot of people behind, right? Because I mean, like your mom and like grandma, like all your family stayed down here, right? Like when you
They actually moved to Central Florida area.
Okay.
And my dad had passed away, so I did leave my best friend. He's still my best friend till today.
Okay.
And that was it. I didn't have much left. It kind of burnt that all down to the ground before I left.
Okay.
So I had acquaintances, a lot of acquaintances.
Yeah.
But no real friends except my best friend. He still is my best friend.
That's awesome. Like when you moved though, like did like any of those acquaintances like oppose? I'm sure you didn't speak to them about it, right? You didn't like, yo, I'm thinking about it. Like, but when they did find out you moved, like did they like reach out like, yo, man, I can't believe you left us, blah blah blah, like anything like that?
I think I had cried wolf a couple times before, and like telling them like I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
Like I'm out of here, and I didn't pull the trigger. So when I finally did buy the ticket, they were like surprised that I think I didn't throw a party or anything. So I think I just left. They're like, yo, he's really in New York.
Yeah.
So it was the best decision that I ever made for sure.
Okay. Cool. And I mean, the reason I brought that up is again, like, because sometimes like you have to leave people behind.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like even family members, like close friends, like the people that make you feel good being the person that you are now. Like if you don't feel like this is like your best self and you want to change, and like there's people around you like, no man, you're good, like just not pushing you to change, like you sometimes you have to just leave that. You have to like just your yes men aren't necessarily the best people to have around you.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to put that out there. Like you gotta be your own person. Like you can't rely on some of your friends because they're only looking out for themselves.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes when you grow up in a neighborhood the people that you grow up with don't want to see you succeed, because if you succeed, then it takes away their ability to have an excuse
Yes.
for not succeeding.
Yes.
So they'll sometimes try to hold you back,
Yeah.
right? Like they don't want to, like, yo, man, this person did it. Now I don't have an excuse. But if all 5 of us never accomplish shit, awesome. Like this is the norm. Perfect. I don't have to feel bad about not accomplishing anything. So you have to be, sometimes you have to be the person to succeed in your friend group. And then the other end of that is you can't save all of your friends.
Yeah.
Right? You could, I mean, let's say you do start a business and you're successful. Oftentimes you feel like, oh man, I gotta go back and pull people up. Some of the people drag you right back down because a lot of people don't want to move up.
Yeah, I agree. And there's some, I would say my old roommate, Dana, he is that person that just wanted the best for me. And he was super supportive about me moving. I think we don't even talk that often. More recent, we have started talking again, but it can go years without talking. And I know I'm wishing him the best and he's wishing me the best kind of thing. So I think those are the people that you need to keep close. And always, like, if he ever needs anything, I'd be there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I know that's vice versa. But it doesn't have to be this constant relationship because you have to allow people to grow. But those are the relationships that I do think you should maintain. And then there's other relationships where I'm telling, especially for like the younger people, like the people that you're friends with right now, you're probably not going to be friends with in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's okay for people to be in your life for specific chapters. And then you wish them well after that. And you don't have to feel the pressure of constantly reaching out or anything like that. I do think there's chapters in life and we can't hold on to everything.
Correct. I love that. So, like, I mean, I feel like we could talk about this like for another hour.
Yeah.
But let's, for the sake of time, let's give like some final thoughts, and we could pick this back up like at a later in a later episode.
Yeah.
So you want to start?
You are not your environment, and you have the ability to control your environment to the best of your ability. Always remember that in any situation, good or bad. And the more control you have over your environment, the things you can control, because you can't control everything. The things you can control, the more pleasant life becomes. I don't want to use the word easy because it's not supposed to be easy. But you do get to enjoy life a little bit more when you're not fighting your environment all the time.
Yeah. When you're not in that constant fight or flight mode or whatnot, like you can't think.
I used to live there, bro.
Trust me, I know.
It's the worst.
I know. Trust me, bro. I know.
That's why, like, when you opened with that question, I feel like this week in particular, I had so much control over my inputs and outputs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How about you?
For me, I think the one takeaway, if you don't watch this whole episode and you just get this clip, I would say make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and follow through.
Yeah.
And just follow, like, you're not going to get to the finish line once the race starts, right? Like, it's going to take some steps. You're gonna have to run, and the bigger the dream, the more steps you will have to take. But make a decision, however big, and make it big. Yes. Make it scary, and go for it. Like you'll get there quicker once you start than if you never start, right? Because if your goal is gonna take 10 years and you take 10 years to start, now it's gonna take 20.
Absolutely.
So make a decision, go for it. Don't just think about doing it.
I recently started listening to church. I went once and then I listened after that.
Okay.
I just want to be honest. Like,
okay.
Sundays is for the family. I stay home and And when I'm mowing the lawn, I listen to church.
Okay.
And that's where I'm at in my spiritual journey right now.
That's awesome. Hey, man, it's a step.
Yeah, it's a step. It's
Yeah.
a step. And Pastor Mike, he's amazing. He spoke about it. It takes the leap of faith in everything, though, because they say for spirituality you have to have faith, but you have to have faith that in the next decision that you're going to make. If you're always sure about everything that you're doing, you're not trying hard enough. Like the things have to be scary enough that it takes faith to do that next step. And I thought that was so powerful, because if you're constantly pursuing these things that you don't know if you're going to make it or not, you can get so much further.
Yeah, that's how you build. I mean, even in fitness, right?
Yeah, like, absolutely.
You can't make a PR unless you try it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So, man, that's awesome, Adam. So we're going to go ahead and cut it here.
Yeah, this was good, man.
This is one of my favorite episodes so far, and they keep getting better. And
this is my favorite thing to do now. Just sit here and talk with you. I'm being serious.
Oh man, I appreciate that, dude. It's very therapeutic, and I look forward to next week, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
Peace.